Hi, hello. Welcome to the episode of Isaiah's Newsstand. It's your host, Isaiah Edwards. The date is June the 1st, 2023. Hopefully, this episode finds you well, in good spirits, and high hopes. As for me, I'm doing pretty good. I'm feeling well. Life's been good, other than just maintaining, teeter-tottering on the verge of being, completely broke, you know everything's good. That's just typical shit. You know what I mean? That's in this day and age, I feel very much amongst the masses in that regard. But hopefully, you guys are doing better than me. Hopefully, all my newsies, all my friends are caked up. That's what I hope. Not just in the pants, but caked up in the wallet. You feel me? Where it matters. Also, but speaking of being too caked up, I'm actually gonna go on a tangent because I don't have any food news. I don't have any life news, but I gotta tell you a thing I'm going through. It's the cycle of life, right? Your clothes, they wear down, they get frayed, they get tattered. You gotta get new ones. That's typical standard operating procedure. But I don't know, and this is just me being real. This is me being 100% candid. Okay, I have had this problem for a very long time, and maybe it is because I like to wear the skinny type shit in my fat ass body or whatever. I'm forcing it. I don't care. But my body, specifically in the groin thigh region, is absurd. It's absurd, and I'm not trying to give myself daps or anything like that. I just don't understand why it just carves out holes and all my cute little hoochie daddy shorts that I buy and all these cute little joggers I buy, they just get frayed through. They just get chewed through. And I'm like, what am I doing? I don't know what to do with these thunder thighs. They just keep on rolling. So that's my life. I've gone through two pairs of shorts, and last winter I think I went through two or three pairs of joggers, and I'm like, ay. The cycle is endless. So I gotta scrape some coins together, go to Dick's, and get some new clothes at some point, hopefully. But yeah, those are my laments. Those are my problems. Let's talk about the world. Let's talk about some life shit. But first, I'm gonna take my typical little opening break, firing salvo. All right. Oh yeah. All right, let's get into it. From NPR News. 30 international peacekeepers are injured in fierce clashes with Serbs in Kosovo. So this is some Kosovo news. I think the last time, if I'm not mistaken, the last time we were in Kosovo talking about it, it was over some license plates that were literally leading into this full blown conflict. I might be getting the country wrong here, but I'm pretty sure that was Kosovo issue. And so now it's kind of evolved and taken on another level post some elections that have taken place in the country. So the NATO-led peacekeeping force in Kosovo, KFOR, or K4, we'll call it that from now on Tuesday raised the number of its troops injured in fierce clashes with ethnic Serbs to 30. The Serbs tried to take over the offices of one of the municipalities in northern Kosovo, where ethnic Albanian mayors took up their posts last week. So also a little bit of outside information here. NATO is also sending in 700 troops in response to this specific event, how things have kind of ratcheted up. With these mayors, there were some elections held, but ethnic Serbs had a majority, and they wanted to have all, I believe, ethnic Serbs over them as mayor. And they said, no, that's not going to happen. These are your candidates. Is this is what you have to choose from. And they were like, oh, okay, we're going to just then not vote. They were just going to abstain from voting. And they're like, well, the voting's going to happen. So these Albanian mayors won, and naturally that then escalated the tension. And then now, as of this week, they're like, okay, we got to go into office. We got to get in there. And, internationally, everyone's like, you guys got to handle this situation with caution. You guys have to be relaxed and chill about this. Like, trying to just force your way literally in the office, even though, yes, you won. Yeah, like, that's going to cause problems. But these mayors, they were like, no, we're just going to use, police, and we're going to just, get in office. We won our office. We're going to take it. So, yada, yada, yada. This happens. Big uproar. This uproar has now led to NATO troops actually being injured. There's been no deaths, as I know, but a statement said that 11 Italian soldiers and 19 Hungarian ones sustained multiple injuries, including fractures and burns from improvised explosives incendiary devices. It added that 3 Hungarian soldiers were wounded by the use of firearms, but their injuries are not life-threatening. The Serbs clashed with NATO troops in the municipality of Zivikan, 28 miles north of the capital, Pristina. Let's see here. The violence was the latest incident as tensions soared over the past weekend when ethnic Serbs in northern Kosovo tried to block recently elected ethnic Albanian officials from entering municipal buildings. Kosovo police fired tear gas to disperse the crowd and let the new officials into the offices. Serbia put the country's military on high alert and sent more troops to the border with Kosovo. So, the situation is very tense. Internationally, I think there's some Western ambassadors. I believe this five nation group, the Quint, which is France, Italy, Germany, the United Kingdom, and the United States. They met in Pristina with Prime Minister Albin Kurti, asking him to take steps to de-escalate and lower tensions while strongly denouncing the Serbs' violence against KFOR troops and journalists. I feel like that's the situation as it stands, as I know it, at least. I definitely want to keep you posted as things continue. They also have a little bit of backstory too, where I'm not going to get into it, but it is, important to just what's going on in the area. But yeah, really serious shit. And like I said, the last time I remember talking about this was license plates. So it's just crazy how like these skirmishes just kind of ratcheted up, and it also makes sense, being that this is an election time kind of situation and, things didn't go so well. So naturally there's going to be some upheaval, some unrest. But speaking of some upheaval and unrest, we can move on to the next thing from Axios. Texas Senate sets date for AG Ken Paxton's impeachment trial. Now, this is just a situation that has taken place in Texas. Don't mess with Texas. But, man, this guy, someone I feel like you weren't going to be fucking with, you weren't going to be messing with for a long time until his staff finally said, okay, enough's enough. We're going to blow the whistle on this guy. This dude, learning about this dude this week has been one of the more interesting things of my research, just whatever. Diving into news and all these fucking scumbags and people. But Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton's impeachment trial will start no later than August 28th after state Senate adopted a resolution on the matter Monday. Now, this was like no light feat. Ken Paxton, just in my brief, learning about this motherfucker, I believe he became Attorney General in 2015, and he was kind of like doing the hard right shit before it was super mainstream. Like, he was harping on these issues, filing these kind of lawsuits that were very cultural driven, the kind of shit that we're doing now that's really in the mainstay of like campaign talk, like, just in terms of like trans stuff, gay stuff. Like, he's all about it. Also, happy Pride Month, let's go. Or happy Demon Month, whatever. let's fucking go. But Ken Paxton has been pushing the limit, and it's definitely got him a lot of praise among the conservative party. He's aligned himself with Donald Trump along the way, which has only like strengthened himself, and in a lot of ways has made himself bulletproof, because this guy kind of came out the gate like kind of stepping too high. It's part of the reason why he's impeached now. Like, he's, potentially on the hook for like bribery, corruption, shit like that. So it's kind of typical political behavior, if we're being honest. That's why it's like, I don't really feel like this is surprising. When I first heard this, I was like, why is this interesting? But just literally to see that, like, this guy has a chokehold in the party. Like, usually you only kind of see this out of people like Trump, but because this guy kind of was such a firebrand and then aligned himself with Trump so well, and even when all the shit hit the fan, even when like his alleged affair has hit the fan, I think his wife, Republican State Senator Angela Paxton, she hasn't commented on the impeachment proceedings, and she hasn't disclosed whether she'll recuse herself from the proceedings that are going to take place. But and also this impeachment's also going to take place, I believe, around the fall, like maybe in August, if I'm not mistaken. So that's another reason why I wasn't sure if I was going to cover it. But like I said, this guy is just so bad. He's so bad because like he's doing all this shit on the surface that I already don't like. It's just typical conservative behavior, making these making these lawsuits, making things very difficult, ringing the bell for these conservative fucking talking points to go on. Like, I just hate motherfuckers like this. You're supposed to be an attorney general and just do your fucking job. Not to say that like liberal or democratic AGs don't do the same fucking thing. Everyone's playing the game, but like when what you're doing is like trying to, impede the rights of, gay, trans people, things like that, like, no, fuck you, man. Like, nah, we're not on side. So that being said, I think the thing that really just made me like, as I was driving, listening to the story, there's a story of this like pin that is, I guess, a part of like commerce and Congress. I don't know what the fuck. Some Mont Blanc pen, like $1,000 pen. He literally decides, I like that fucking pen. I deserve that fucking pen. He takes the fucking pen. It's on camera that he did this shit. And he's like, oh, it's a misunderstanding. Like, no, I didn't like mean to like take it. Like, no, like I can give it back. My bad. Oh, he literally just mea culpas through this whole fucking thing. Then, like I said, this bribery shit comes up, and it gets so bad that his staff are like, no, we need to blow the whistle here. We need to say something. And he then decides, oh, well, I'm going to fire all my staff. And he lists other reasons like, oh, like, I can't imagine. I didn't read this, but I imagine he tries to say like performance or something like that. But essentially it was because they turned on him and said, yo, what you're doing is wrong. We don't want to be implicated any further in this. We're done. And so he fires them. And I think at least 2 of them sue him. And I think for the grand total of $3 million. So this man has the audacity to not only just get away with it, but to then go to the state and say, hey, I need you guys to give me the money so that I can pay off this settlement. And that's when these motherfuckers turn on him. That's when they go, oh, we should file an impeachment on this guy because he's doing this corrupt, fucked up shit. Like, we should like really look into this and really like do something here. And, within the day he was ousted, and, now he's in this impeachment process. Now he's calling it a political witch hunt. Trump has come out and said, hey, this is a political witch hunt. He's even mad that Greg Abbott hasn't rolled out and said something. He's been awfully quiet. But I think I do wonder at this point with such a crowded Republican primary already. Chris Christie hasn't even fucking waddled out yet. So I maybe Greg Abbott isn't going to do anything. Maybe he's going to make the smart call and not pull a DeSantis and just stick to his own shit, stay in his lane. But yeah, I mean, that's about what I wanted to cover here on this. There'll definitely be more down the pike, towards maybe, the fall when it comes to this proceedings. I don't know. Like, every impeachment I've heard about has not led to anything in my lifetime. So I'm curious to see in this situation with this attorney general, if he's gonna get his comeuppance or if he's gonna skate away. You know, it's interesting shit. So yeah, let's talk about some other shit though. There's some more things I wanted to cover from the Los Angeles Times. Actor Danny Masterson convicted of 2 counts of rape at second Los Angeles trial. So trigger warning: sexual assault. We are talking about Danny Masterson again. I really wasn't sure how things were gonna shake out after the hung jury trial in 2022. I mean, it just had like, and maybe this is me just having Law and Order brain and being like, oh, if there's a mistrial, that's like good luck. Like that's not gonna work out well. But after a week, a little bit over, a little bit more than a week, a jury was hung on the 3rd count, but they convicted him of 2 counts. Let's see. Jurors hung on a 3rd count after deliberating for a little more than a week. They contacted Los Angeles County Superior Court Judge Charlene Olmedo around 11 a.m. Wednesday to say they had reached a verdict on 2 of the 3 rape counts against Masterson, but were hopelessly deadlocked on the 3rd. So I don't know if they're gonna, call it on the 3rd one. Let's see. The 3 victims were Chrissy B, Jen B, and N Trout. And I believe Chrissy B was the one that they felt for some reason like that wasn't one that they could come to terms with in terms of saying, hey, like we feel that he's guilty on this one. But in the other 2 cases, just it's very violent. What transpires. Also, it's alleged too that he potentially drugged them. They couldn't find any evidence of it, but they felt nauseous after having a drink, and they more or less would black out. And there was be situations where sometimes like they wake up and he would tell them like, yeah, we had sex. Also, there's like situations where he was like having sex with them, like without their consent, like while they were sleeping, they'd wake up saying no, and he'd like physically get violent and then proceed. Also, there's talks of like having a gun involved in some situations. So, I mean, this is some nasty ass shit. And mind you, I mean, I kind of making this like, oh, everybody knows who this is, but this is Hyde from fucking That 70s Show. And I think that was definitely something that became a divisive element here. Also, not to mention that, he's also involved in Scientology, and all of the people involved were a part of Scientology. And if you're not, familiar with that cult, religion, whatever you want to fucking call it these days, or how you feel, they were definitely heavily involved in this trial. Just in terms of like, how he interacted and met with them, the influence they had over the victims, the fact that like Danny Masterson is a celebrity, which means he is someone who is, they are milking this person for money and then also clout. They need this person to be well and be fine. So people were like, they were very much worried about their families being potentially excommunicated for this. Now, Scientologists or whatever came out and said, no, that's not the case. But it was definitely a fear and concern. So yeah, I really was not sure how this was all going to turn out on the second go around. So it's good that this came out this way. You know what I mean? It would have been nice to see 3 counts, but I mean, we'll see what the sentencing looks like, and I'm assuming that prosecution's going to go from there. But yeah, I mean, definitely a hella fucking sad situation. I mean, not to make light of it or anything like that, but like I said, it's definitely like someone who I remember watching a ton, I kind of want to say growing up, but like it was in my like 20s that I actually wound up like sitting down and watching That 70s Show end to end, which was kind of perfect because I was already like, I was of the element. It kind of made more sense to me. It was cool. But, I believe in terms of the cast, when they did the new season that it came out, after all these allegations, like, no, we're not working with him. Like, no way. So, at least I think that's how it went down. But, yeah, I mean, there's definitely a little bit more that you can get into and cover here. But just wanted to cover at least that part of, the trial, and we'll definitely talk a little bit more when it comes to the sentencing. But yeah, we have one more thing to cover, and it's not better news. I'm usually no good at that. But let's take a little break together. Let's tiptoe through the tulips, if you will, and we'll, finish this. Fun personal fact: Thursday is my favorite day of the week. And it's because of the potential. You know, you're going into Friday, which is like kind of the weekend considered by some, what have you. Then you have the whole last weekend. It's just, I don't know. I've always liked that ever since I was in grade school. Thursday always felt good. Whew. All right. Ooh, from Law and Crime, an accused serial killer able to manipulate the system for decades is arrested with a bag of zip ties and duct tape after allegedly calling police to confess. I've kind of talked about this before, but a thing amongst like true crime podcasters and just general discourse has kind of come up is like the age of the serial killer done, especially in a digital age. Like, it just seems so easy to like zero in with like a microscope. We have so much technology and things that means like these things should just kind of be like, oh, a thing of the past. Like, yeah, maybe mass killings and things like that, shootings and things of that nature, but like an actual factual by the number serial killer is just something that's like very few and far between these days. At least that's kind of the thought and theory. And I think that's more or less true. At least that's my vibe too. I agree with that thought. But then anytime I see these kind of stories, it just makes you go, wow, like this guy was able to do it, and not in like a cool way. Like it's morbid, it's gross, but it's just like, damn. And I think it's just one of those things where I don't know. Let's just go ahead and get into it, and then maybe we'll do a little bit more final thoughts. But a Texas man recently turned himself in for murdering his roommate, and at least one city official in the Hill Country region has described himself as a serial killer whose murders date back to 1982 at least. And that's another factor too. This takes place through time, but I mean, I consider the 80s like, yeah, it's kind of a bit pre-internet era, but like once we're hitting the 90s and all this kind of stuff, and then just imagine that these deaths happened and potentially there's more. Like, he's only talked about a couple, and we'll get into that, but like he was just under the radar, just chilling. But Raul, I'm gonna butcher another name. Raul Meza Jr., 62 years old, allegedly confessed to killing his roommate Jesse Farga, 80 years old, earlier this month. A spokesperson for the Austin Police Department said during a press conference on Tuesday. During that phone call to Detective Patrick Reed, Meza also implicated himself in a 2019 murder of Gloria Lofton, the APD said. So that's 2019. Like, you know what I mean? That's not too long ago, right before COVID. This man's just like, I'm out and killing again. And mind you, this person was in jail before. He was let out, kind of by a statute in the law that allowed him to be out with good behavior. And that's definitely something that was hotly contested. He was driven out of at least, I believe, one neighborhood for it. Let's read a little bit. I guess I want to, let's talk about his call first. I answered the homicide main line, and the caller stated, "My name is Raul Meza, and you were looking for me." Reed said when he took his turn at the dais. This is one of the officers who were talking. Meza then went on to detail his relationship with Jesse Farga and detailed the manner in which he murdered Mr. Farga, including details that had not yet been released to the public, which I'm like, oh, it's so true crime. Meza described his life in and out of prison and said, I quote, I get out in 2016. I end up murdering a lady soon afterwards. It was on Sarah Drive. He just says this. He just says these two things. He calls because he knows that they have put out a, you know, I don't want to say a bounty. That's the wrong word. It's so old. But like essentially like we're looking for this man if you have any information, like Crime Stopper type shit. And he sees this, he calls on himself and tells them this, and then by the end of this conversation is talking about a woman he murdered on Sarah Drive. And so they do you know, some investigating, some detective work, and they figure out the victim. And then let's see. Accused of 2 murders in a relatively short span, Meza admittedly murdered 8-year-old Kendra Page and left her body in an elementary school, accused of raping the girl, but pleaded guilty to a murder charge and received 30-year state prison sentence. But due to the mandatory application of good behavior credits, Meza served just over 11 years of that 30-year sentence. Let's see here. It's another quote. Yeah. He nearly killed a gentleman when he was 15 years old, certified as an adult, later commits capital murder, pleads to murder, is released 11 years later, and has killed how many people we don't know. Mills. This is another guy talking. Bruce Mills. Interim assistant city manager. Whoever. Just adding to this idea of just like, this was a big error in the system. This guy was able to manipulate it. Which is definitely possible. I definitely can agree with that. But I think that these kind of talking points, this whole ass fucking situation, is going to be used to try to like lift these kind of things for good behavior, which are things that even though this fucking shit happened, even though this fucking shit is disturbing and gross, I still want to be on the hill of saying, yo, they should exist. They should be implemented. Like, this isn't every person who goes to jail. And if you do believe that, then like, you have to believe that the system is broken and we need to fix this shit ground to top anyway. Like, that it's a bad thing. And it's definitely fucked up. But these people are going to be murdering. Like, it is just the way that it is. When it comes to prison, the whole system, like, I know there's a spectrum of it. Like, I recently listened to a talk about the whole idea of just, like, the inverse of having, like, a harsh prison system, a system that is just endless, feeds itself. The idea of just having, like, I forget what it's called. Like, it's like the abolitionist thing or whatever. I don't know. But that idea was just like whoa, like that was even surprising for me. And I don't know if it's something I could subscribe to. No, but I definitely agree that like we need to have a system that is less of just about punishing, people. But to get back to this, obviously this is a crazy ass situation. A fucking serial killer, dog. Like, fuck. 2023, year of our Lord. So yeah, a lot to talk about, lot to cover. But yeah, he was like literally run out of town. They literally like protested, all this kind of stuff, and it makes sense. There was a kid involved. But yeah, I mean, we don't know how many people he's killed. They are urging people, like, if there's someone out there and you think that maybe this might be related, call in. But yeah, I mean, shit, I will definitely try to keep you posted on this shit. And thank you so much for tuning in. That's pretty much the episode. That's all I really got for you today. If you would like to help out and support the podcast, become a newsie, get your name out on the shout out, patreon.com/Isaiah News. You also get access to any of the bonus episodes I've done. Do one about once a week usually. So, there's that. Also, you get a hot link to the Discord, but the Discord is free. Just hit me up for that if you'd like. I can send you an invite. Also, like I said, you get newsy status. You get the shout out. Oh my gosh. Did I I'm so in the sauce and so in the weeds. I haven't even actually done the shout out. So drum roll. from the most scuffed podcast in America. All right, my newsies. Let me give you a little example since I haven't, and this is the first. We do it at the top of the month. So from the top, Stephanie Renee, the Alpha, the Omega, the Queen. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being a newsie. Denver McIntosh. Thank you so much, good sir, and good day to you. Hopefully you're doing well. Hopefully you're vibing. Hi. And also, last but not least, Edward Haas, who is the helmsman for Commander's Conclave, one of my favorite YouTube experiences. If you are a fan of Magic the Gathering, which I am, they do Commander content, EDH, if you will. Every week there's a new episode. I tune in. I've also been on there, so it's kind of like almost self-promotion of myself, honestly, but I just love their shit. They're amazing. It's really fun, laid back content that you can just kind of put on your YouTube screen and just vibe out to and have a good time. So yeah, I highly suggest it. Go ahead and give them a subscribe. Go ahead and give them a like, try it out. Why not? So yeah, that's the shout out. I literally was like, oh yeah, I totally did that. And it's like, no, Isaiah, no, you didn't. But I love you guys so much. Newsy or not newsy, free ways to hit me up, isaiahnews1@gmail.com, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Speaking of YouTube, I'm also on the YouTube. If you didn't know, feel free to hit the subscribe button on the channel. Hit the bell for notifications, all that good. And hopefully I see you soon for some more good news. I love ya. Bye-bye. Mwah.